I've got a unique situation and could really use some advice. I've changed the names and tweaked some details to keep things private, but everything here is based on actual events. 2 years back, my high school sweetheart, my wife of 15 years, left me for another woman. The divorce that followed was as messy and painful as you'd imagine. We had to sort through custody arrangements, child support, and dividing up our property. In the end, I got custody of the kids and bought out her share of the house, which has become a much-needed anchor for the kids. Even though the divorce was tough, my ex-wife and I have kept things civil, mostly for the sake of our children. We stay in regular contact, but the conversations are strictly about the kids and their activities. Nothing more. After everything fell apart, my parents, who live nearby, really stepped up. They've been lifesavers, helping out with everything from babysitting to schoolwork, and even cooking dinner now and then. Honestly, I don't know how I'd manage without them. Despite all our efforts, the kids are still struggling with the fallout from their mom's departure. Emily, my 13-year-old, has completely shut her mom out and won't talk to her, while Jack, who's 10, barely acknowledges her existence. I've been trying my best to encourage them to rebuild their relationship with her, but their hurt runs deep. In the middle of all this, my ex-wife, she's 37 now, broke up with her partner. Apparently, she blames that relationship for tearing her family apart, and by extension, pushing the kids further away. Part of me wonders if I could have done more to help the kids reconnect with her. Should I have been more supportive? But then again, this isn't really my burden to carry anymore, or so I thought. Now, here's where things take a surprising turn. Lately, my ex-wife has been calling me nonstop, begging to move back in. She says she wants to repair her relationship with the kids and promises to keep things strictly platonic between us. She's not asking to stay forever, just a year or two, until things settle down. Here's the thing, I've moved on. While we've stayed on good terms, I'm not interested in having her back in my life like that, platonic or otherwise. I've even started dipping my toes into dating again, though nothing serious has come of it yet. And the kids? I can't imagine they'd be thrilled about her moving back in, given how they feel about her right now. I've tried to explain my concerns to her, but she won't take no for an answer. She keeps saying she'll live in the basement and stay out of our way. To make things worse, now her friends and family are chiming in, urging me to let her come back. I'm stuck wondering if there's any upside to this, or if it's a disaster waiting to happen. Has anyone dealt with anything like this before? Any advice would mean a lot. Thanks in advance. This weekend turned out to be more eventful than I expected. The kids were staying with their mom's parents when something unexpected came to light. My sharp and intuitive 13-year-old daughter caught wind of her mom's earlier plan to move back in with us. She was furious and caused quite a scene, which led to her mom rushing over to try and smooth things over. Thankfully, I had no idea any of this was happening at the time, and honestly, that's probably for the best. In the end, my ex-wife decided to scrap the idea of moving back in altogether. Instead, she asked for more visitation time with the kids, and surprisingly, they seem okay with that arrangement. As for me, I'm willing to make it work if it helps everyone adjust better. But now there's a new twist. With both sets of grandparents planning to be out of town for Christmas, my ex-wife has suggested spending the holiday with the kids. To make things even more complicated, my daughter wants me to join them too. My ex-wife seems open to the idea, but I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it. My son hasn't said much yet, but he usually goes along with whatever his big sister wants. I'll let you know how things unfold as we get closer to the holiday. For now, I'm just trying to sort out what's best for everyone involved. First off, I just want to thank everyone who reached out and shared their thoughts. Your advice and support mean a lot. Originally, I was planning for a quiet Christmas with just me and the kids. That was the plan, until my ex suggested joining us at my place. After a long talk with her, the first in months that wasn't just about the kids, she shared that she's been in therapy. She admitted, once again, that everything we've been through is her fault, and she apologized. I know some people might not agree with this, but I've decided to invite her over for Christmas. It's only going to be a one-day thing. Here's the plan: we'll open gifts, enjoy some meals together, and let the kids have fun with the movies and games they've lined up. She'll head home after dinner. I've already picked out gifts for the kids, and we're on the same page about who's getting them what. There won't be any gift exchange between the two of us, not directly, at least. That said, the kids used my card to order gifts for her, and I have a sneaking suspicion they've convinced her to do the same for me, using her own money. As for the food, I'm letting Whole Foods and Cracker Barrel handle most of the cooking. I'm not going to lie, it'll be a bit awkward having her here, but I don't think it'll be unpleasant. At the end of the day, if the kids go to bed happy, then I'll feel like it was all worth it. If anyone's interested, I can share an update after Christmas. Thanks again for all the help and kind words. There were quite a few questions, so I thought I'd share a quick update. We've decided to spend Christmas together for the kids' sake. It's going to be a simple, low-key day at my place, just for the four of us. My ex and I have had a thorough discussion, and we're completely on the same page about expectations, boundaries, and any concerns we might have. She'll be welcomed, and I'll do everything I can to make sure everyone feels comfortable. To keep things simple and avoid any outside pressure or interference, only the kids and you folks here know about this plan. Eventually, the kids might mention it to others, but for now, it's just between us. This isn't about trying to rekindle anything from the past. It's purely about giving the kids a happy Christmas memory and showing them that, even though we're no longer together, we both still care deeply for them. There will probably be some emotional moments, but we're committed to handling them in a healthy and respectful way. In the end, all we want is for the kids to go to bed feeling loved and happy. We had planned for my ex-wife to come over early on Christmas morning, and the kids were up bright and early, buzzing with excitement to start the day. The first thing they wanted to do was dive into the presents. My ex-wife and I had coordinated our gift-giving beforehand, so there weren't any surprises between us, but the kids were over the moon with everything they unwrapped. They even gave me a few thoughtful gifts that my ex had paid for, and they gave her something I had bought. The handmade cards they made for both of us. Those were the highlight of my day. They really melted my heart. At first, having my ex around for such a long stretch of time felt a little awkward. It had been years since we'd spent a day like this together. But as the hours went by, things started to feel easier and more natural. After the presents were all opened, my ex took a moment to thank me for how I'd been raising the kids and for encouraging them to reconnect with her. She also apologized for her past choices, and we agreed not to rehash old wounds. It was reassuring to hear that she's still in therapy and making progress. When it was time to eat, we worked together to warm up the meals we'd ordered from Whole Foods and a local restaurant. Meanwhile, the kids played a few Christmas songs on the piano, ones they'd been practicing for weeks. My ex hadn't heard them play in years, and you could see how much it meant to her. After lunch, we spent the afternoon playing video games and watching a movie as a family. By then, the tension had mostly faded, and things felt almost normal. Later in the day, we had an early supper since the kids were hungry. Afterward, we decided to take a drive around town to look at Christmas lights. It turned out to be one of the best parts of the day. We cruised through neighborhoods, snapping photos of beautifully decorated houses, a church with a gorgeous nativity display, and even a fire station decked out for the holidays. It was simple, but it was surprisingly fun, and I'm so glad we did it. When we finally got back home, it was late. We walked my ex-wife to her apartment. She lives just a block away. The kids gave her big, tight hugs, and she even kissed me on the cheek before giving me a hug. I hugged her back, and she thanked me again for making the day so special. We stood there until she was safely inside before heading back to the house. Looking back, I feel a sense of relief, and even some happiness, with how the day turned out. My ex didn't push any boundaries, and we were both kind and respectful to each other. I can't deny that there was a time when I felt nothing but anger and hurt, but most of those feelings have faded. We've all had our share of pain, but I think the kids and I have come through it stronger. I genuinely hope she finds some peace, too. As we move forward, I'm determined to keep being the best co-parent I can be. I know we'll never be a couple again, but I'm grateful we can still work together for the sake of the kids. For New Year's Eve, the kids will be at my ex's parents' place. They've invited me to come, and both she and her parents have said they'll understand if I decide not to. Right now, I'm leaning towards stopping by, even if it's just for a quick chat. I'm not sure if I'll stay long or join them for supper. We'll see how it plays out. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season and are enjoying the blessings this time of year brings. As we step into the new year, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has followed along with my journey and shared thoughtful advice. Your support has meant more than I can express. This will likely be my last update for a while. On New Year's Eve, I joined my ex-wife and kids for dinner at my in-laws' home. It felt like a natural continuation of the goodwill we shared during Christmas. While there were a few awkward moments, the evening ended on a warm and positive note. The food was excellent, my in-laws were gracious hosts, and my ex-wife was surprisingly charming. The kids had a blast, and to my surprise I enjoyed myself too. As we said goodbye, my ex-wife gave me a heartfelt hug and a kiss on the cheek. It felt genuine, and I couldn't help but appreciate the sincerity in her gesture. This renewed warmth between us feels like a hopeful way to start the year. I'm optimistic that it could pave the way for an even stronger co-parenting relationship and a calmer, more peaceful life for all of us. A touching moment last week reminded me of the strength of a parent's love. While the kids were heading to the school bus, my son slipped on some black ice and fell hard. Before I could get to him, my ex-wife, who lives close by, was already there. She comforted him with a hug and quickly pulled out band-aids from her car to tend to his scrapes. Watching her care for him so tenderly struck a chord in me. It was a small moment but a deeply meaningful one. My relationship with my ex-wife was a once-in-a-lifetime bond, a first love that spanned over 2 decades. For most of that time, we shared a profound emotional and physical connection, having only been intimate with each other until her affair. I've dated a bit since the divorce, but nothing has come close to what we shared during the best years of our marriage. Now, my ex-wife has expressed an interest in reconciliation. She's been upfront about wanting to rebuild something with me, though she understands my hesitation. I'm reluctant to dive back into a traditional relationship, especially with the kids involved. However, she's also suggested an arrangement that's exclusive but without the expectations of marriage or living together, something like friends plus more. If we can establish firm boundaries and safeguards, I'm open to giving it a try. It's an unconventional step, but it feels like the right approach for where we are now. If it works and we last through the years, we can revisit the idea of something more permanent once the kids are older and off to college. I realize this path may not sit well with everyone. But the truth is, we're just 2 people trying to find a little happiness in the midst of all the sadness. Whether this works out is something only time will tell. If there are any significant updates down the line, I'll be sure to share them. For now, thank you again to everyone who has been there for me throughout this journey. Your words of encouragement and understanding have made all the difference.